We never understand how little we need in this world until we know the loss of it.
The accident was hell. I lost my family. I lost my child. He lives with my husband, my ex-husband. So basically my whole world turned upside down, round and about, through circles, under the ground, you name it.
I think one of my biggest problems since my accident is anger. I get angry and I don't know why. I get angry and I start drinking, and I shouldn't.
At first when he got injured and we found out what his problem was and so on, we were told that Carl wasn't going to be nothing anymore. We were told that we were going to lose all our friends. A life for us wouldn't be any more as it was. Carl would never see his friends again. They would slowly, disappear. And as we ended up after the evaluation for Carl, he was going to be a vegetable, and that's it.
I wish that a lot of people would treat my husband like a human being instead of a problem.
They drove my kids right away from me. Just drove my wife away. We live in a house, but we don't. You live there, but you're not living there, if you can understand what I mean.
This is Jackie's story.
My marriage died. After the accident, I found that my husband and I started to grow apart. He wanted the old me, and I was a new person, and the old me had died in a car accident. She was nowhere to be found anymore. I had chosen goals before my accident, included a career in retail. I had big plans. I was going to open my own store. I was going to run it. I loved retail. When I hear my own voice on tape or on a video, or my favorite is my telephone message machine, I think, that isn't me, because I don't hear myself like that. I hear myself just like I used to sound. The other thing that I never seemed to mind before my accident was confrontations. I could deal with them because I knew I wouldn't lose control. Now, I'm not sure that I won't lose control. And I'm very easily distracted. So if I lose control, it's very easy for someone else to take control of the situation. Most of the time, if something has happened, and usually it's very dramatic, I get upset and get angry, but I can't cry, and so I just kind of, I'm not really sure where the feelings go. Like, tears used to be my outlet, and now they've dried up. I don't know where they go.
When we were called about the accident, we went to the hospital, and the doctor told us with injuries like Jackie's, she wouldn't make it tonight.
And we weren't ready for it or anything, and there she was laying there with all these artificial respiration, and and probes for swelling, and her eyes like back in the back of her head. And with the news of the doctor, it was just hard to believe.
Well, I think after you go through something like this, you have to learn to accept things every day and appreciate what you have, really.
And we were going for at least 2 weeks, and there was no response at all. I mean, she just laid there, and there wasn't any. There was a lot of movement, a lot of arm movement, leg movements, but there wasn't any speaking or any eyes opening or anything.
When Jackie came home, we pretty well had to do everything for her. The shower was downstairs. We'd help her down. She had to sit down. She couldn't walk very well. And so she needed a lot of help. She was very dependent on us, and we pretty well had to do everything for her. It was like having her as a little girl again. It's like having a small child, retraining them.
I am frustrated and confused at the lack of services for persons who have survived a head injury. Once they leave the hospitals and rehabilitation centers, they are often on their own. Our government does not see this funding as a priority.
Her love for us and our love for her, I think it got the family closer to each other. Our family got real close, like our two sons, and one out west and one up north. I think we were sicker than she was, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And,
she helped us a lot.
Yeah, we were the one that actually became sick, because we were so impatient.
If I had a nickel for every time someone said, be patient, I'd be a millionaire. When there is blame, I oftentimes blame myself. I think that if I wasn't head injured, I wouldn't do that. The family support group I facilitate is like an extended family to me. There is so much love there.
I used to work at General Motors. I worked at General Motors for 25 years, and one day, 4.5 years ago, I went home. I was building a sunroom, and somehow I passed out and I fell off the roof. I went down 12 feet, landed on the right side of my face on cement. I don't remember falling. I woke up a week later in the hospital. I knew I was in the hospital, but I didn't know why. My wife explained it to me, and I have been working 4.5 years. I think you have to learn to control the anger. You're angry at yourself, and you don't know why. You wind up losing your friends, your family.
After the accident, I was incapacitated. I couldn't walk. I couldn't see color. I couldn't feed my child. I couldn't do anything. And I had to relearn how to walk, talk, feed myself, etc. I couldn't see color. Being an artist, I couldn't see color. I'm still going to the community reentry group, and they're teaching me how to do coping skills, interacting with people, and I still produce my artwork.
The boss was looking at me and kind of saying, this person is he is disabled, but I don't want to tell him that. And he said, he didn't tell me that, but I figured that's why I was on a lower wage pace than everybody else.
My husband's been head injured for 2.5 years. He's been hospitalized all this time. They have no prognosis because he's head injured. They don't know how he's going to be 5 or 10 years from now. They just can tell me the way he is right now. I try not to think too much about the future. I get very depressed when I think about the future, so I just think about the way things were and basically the way things are right now. And I just thank God for my children, because they're the ones really who are making me strong and helping me get through this, because I'll always have a piece of him in my children.
If you're head injured, you are right on the bottom of the list for everything that comes down. Drunk driving is what caused my accident. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't touch a drink, because it's put me through 17 years of a lot of problems. And you don't know what you're looking for unless you grab the beer or the booze and the keys. You're looking for a lot of problems.
Carl will give us thumbs up and thumbs down, yes or no, questions that you ask him. Carl has remembered as much as 4 years back and told us what he thought. Now we're going to show you your new room. And that used to be the garage. If we cannot financially support Carl, then he will have to go into an institution, or Rodney, my youngest son, will look after him. But that you cannot really ask his son to do this, to look after his brother. So I would say he would end up in an institution.
Loneliness is something I've yet to come to grips with. I have lived on my own for 2 years now. Maybe not completely alone, my cat counts. There are times when I'm feeling sorry for myself and I'm particularly down, and I'll think I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. And it's a scary feeling. And there's this gentleman that I'm fairly hot on. I asked him to join me for dinner, and he turned me down. This is why I think it would have been so much easier if I just would have died in the accident. But so I don't have to face these things. I wish I could just crawl in a hole and die.
Jackie and I have been friends for 20 years, and we hung around with a group, and after her accident, she pushed a lot of them away. They'd come around and she'd feel like she was getting self-pity from them.
Yeah. The attitudes of people surprise me as well. You know, the attitude that I have a head-injured son. Why don't we get Jackie and my son together because they're both head-injured? Maybe Jackie can find herself a nice disabled boy to date.
I find myself surrounded by people who are supposedly sensitive to the issues surrounding head injury. But in actual fact...
Miss Jackie Graham, recently you have been observed using the conventional bus service. This is the second time this has been brought to my attention. Policy and procedure states that, as a registrant of the paratransit service, the use of the conventional service is prohibited. In order to be eligible for the paratransit system, you must be a physically disabled resident of St. Catharines whose mobility problems prevent or severely inhibit you from walking 175 meters or boarding a conventional bus. Please be advised that your registration on the service will be reviewed.
As far as rehab goes, they say they can't do anything more for me. But I'm sorry, I'm a determined person, and if they don't want to help me, I'll do it for myself. So in that case, I decided I need someone to work on my balance. I'll get that dance instructor. What else really bugs me? My voice. I'll get a voice instructor.
I've been listening to your voice tapes. You are losing whole words, small words like and, the, I, in your sentence. There just seem to be left out. I'm going to give you a number of exercises that will help you clip the words a little more so they don't get slurred together. You seem to be losing T's and D's on certain words. I've got some exercises like
bubble, bubble, toil and trouble. Kettle, boil, and cauldron, bubble.
Do it again.
I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high or veils and hills.
Try doing it with stopping and having a pause after cloud so you can breathe.
You're getting on my nerves. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. How was your weekend?
Great. I've been practicing chassés and pivots all weekend long.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, we'll go get changed. We'll see you in a bit. The first time that Jackie called me, when I spoke to her on the phone, I thought she was more or less a handicapped person selling light bulbs, basically. But she kept on talking, and I listened, and we set up an appointment. My first impression of Jackie during her first few classes was that her balance was not there at all. We had to start out desperately and start working on balance right from scratch. She didn't fall, but a lot of times I was reaching out to try and grab her so that just in case she might, didn't want to have her fall on the floor. We spent so much time on her with her knees, relaxing her knees to get her balance, and she kept falling forward. And what we decided to do was start pulling her head up, looking straight ahead, her shoulders coming back, lifting up in her chest, and once she started doing that, things began to happen. She could stand on one foot, bring her foot to her knee, not falling over. And then we started turns gradually, and she was fine. So it's all in the upper body now that we're working on for her control.
Something else that I've gotten into since doing this documentary is NLP. She draws feelings and thoughts out of me that I didn't even know I had.
When I first got started with Jackie, I knew that I could present a lot of different holistic therapies to her in the hopes of forming a toolkit, a holistic toolkit, to enable her to get more of a control over her physical body, her mental body, feeling more balanced, better able to handle stress, and to enjoy being more alive. I utilized 3 major therapies: neuro-linguistic programming, kinesiology, educational kinesiology, and reflexology. And what I liked about the 3 different therapies, they worked a variety of places in the body, if you will, integrating the whole body and mind interaction, which I believe, firmly believe, is responsible for a holistic approach. Neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, so I don't get tongue-tied all the way through. NLP is neuro, which means how we feel or how we work with sensations. Linguistic is words, and programming is behavior and reactions and actions. So how we take words, how we feel about those words, or how we put emotions to those words, and then subsequently react, is one way of changing and empowering ourselves to be better than where we are. You know how we've done a lot of NLP, and one of the things that we haven't done yet is some timelines. And what I want to do with you is say, look, what's Jackie going to be like 6 months from today? So take a look at the Jackie of today down there. And what is it that Jackie of today needs to have her get to 6 months from today in a more powerful state?
Loosen your hands.
Loosen her hands.
Walk with authority.
Walk with authority. All right, hold on. All right, so as the director, tell her to loosen her hands.
Loosen your hands.
All right, tell her to walk with authority.
Walk with more authority.
Okay. What else? What else does she need?
Hold her head up high.
Okay, tell her to hold up her head.
Pick that head up.
The Jackie of today walking to the Jackie of 6 months from today. All right. Kinesiology, what I did with those exercises when I presented them to as a possible means for Jackie to incorporate whole brain learning. With the brainstem injury, what I was looking for was an integration more of left and right brain for whole brain learning. And what you do is you unroll your ears. Okay, all the way down, all the way down. Get the earrings to wiggle, yeah, that's right. And you start as close as you can to the top of your head, the ears touching the head, and you unwind. And you know that there's all sorts of reflex points in the ears, okay? But there's all sorts of acupuncture and acupressure points. And then the reflexology was to work with her feet and her hands and get the body relaxed and to get more circulation going in the system and to have overall well-being. She needed to learn what her body looked like and felt like in a relaxed position because she didn't know. So that is why I chose those particular 3 therapies.
More and more thoughtful.
Okay, now that's why we have that phrase, because you're dropping the D on that.
More and more thoughtful. And I didn't hesitate at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. My speech, not once did I falter. It was incredible.
My name is Kathleen Marion. I'm the headmistress of Grey Gables School. Our guest speaker this evening is Jackie Graham. After hearing Jackie speak, I'm sure you'll find that you've learned a little bit about Jackie and a lot about yourselves. Jackie Graham?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here tonight. Actually, I'm very glad to be anywhere because 6 years ago I was involved in a very serious car accident.
What can you do now that you couldn't do 8 months ago?
Oh, dance would be one. I don't, thanks to Patty, speak so lazily anymore. I have tons more confidence, balance, in not only in walking, but in everything. I was so busy feeling sorry for myself and blaming everyone and everything around me. I've really come to enjoy being with people.
What is it that you can share with others the most?
Everything stems from a positive attitude. You have to be thinking that way. And 2, you have to really, I never realized this, you have to really try very hard to like yourself. And if you don't, no one else will.